that I think like one, hacking people's brains is just like seems like a super, like, I think I really don't want to happen. But I think like possibly the larger existential risk, because like say like getting hacked is a problem, but it's probably not like a civilization level problem of like it probably won't wipe like it probably won't make it'll be bad for a lot of individuals, and we should make sure it doesn't happen. But like similar to like computer hacking, of like some people's computers get hacked, but it's pretty unlikely that everyone gets their computer hacked. Like yeah, but like I do think it's like, yeah, I'm a bit cautious about I'd be a bit cautious about using them, because like I personally very much don't want to get hacked, just because the stakes of my mind getting hacked are so much higher than my computer getting hacked. But I think also it's just this like really, really dangerous technology, in that like one thing Orwell was really grateful for was that the government in 1984 still couldn't detect thought crime. And that like I think like expansion of surveillance has been like a real problem. We've heard about like Edward Snowden, and the prison program that America had, that was like I think like the more governments are able to like the more governments are able to kind of find out absolutely everything about their people, and like police, and the more effectively people can police their people, then the more effectively dictatorships can be maintained. And if you can imagine like a North Korea that like can find out what people are thinking, it makes dissent really, really hard. And if people with like brain stimulation technology, which is what people are looking at rolling out with brain computer interfaces, can then reward or punish certain thoughts, then that's like I think really dangerous. And it sounds like very, very sci-fi right now, but like a lot of these things we can already do. A lot of these things we like look very, very like there are promising experiments that show that it's likely that this is possible. And I think it just sets us up on a dangerous equilibrium where like it means that if you're in a dictatorship that can use these technologies, it makes it like much more sustainable to like maintain your dictatorship. And I think it's a dangerous world where if the sustainability and longevity of dictatorships goes up, but like we're in this kind of groovy cycle right now where like occasionally like democracies or occasionally dictatorships like rebel and become democracies, and occasionally democracies collapse and become dictatorships. And like we don't like, ideally what we want to happen is we want dictatorships to become democracies as much as possible, and democracies to fall as little as possible. And what this seems to do is make it much less likely that democracies will rebel and rise to be a dictatorship, but democracies still fall, just because like we haven't figured out a way to make democracies last eternally yet. Like just historically, they they haven't lasted forever, and it doesn't look like a solved problem at the moment. So if like democracies can still fall, but dictatorships last forever, that's a very dangerous equilibrium where just everything might fall into that eventually. And that's something that I think it's at least worth us thinking about. And as far as I can tell, there is basically no one thinking about it.
This is chilling. I when you said the thing about 1984, I just got a chill. Like,
yeah, it's a really massive problem, and as far as I can tell, I'm the only person who's thinking about it. And so it's an idea that I'm kind of trying to publicize, that I think as a world we need to take like much more seriously.
Well, and I mean, I'm not super familiar with the brain computer interfaces, but I assume a country like North Korea could eventually adapt them to do things like control people's muscles, like, I mean, control their motor function, perhaps.
Yeah, absolutely. We can already do things like this, where like people, where you can reward and punish certain things and stimulate pain centers in the brain or stimulate reward centers in the brain. And if you can like that, that's already stuff that we can do. And if you combine that with like, it seems like we're getting better and better at figuring out what people are thinking using these technologies. Like we can already and I think the combination of those two things is just like super dangerous. It's
what can be done to stop this?
Yeah, it's a good question. I think it's been a while since I wrote this paper. I have a whole section on this, but I'm a bit hazy on it because I wrote it a year and a half ago. I think there are a few things. One, I think if people were terrified of it and stigmatized it, then that would make it significantly more likely that as a world we add rules about this, such that say certain kinds of BCIs could be developed. So say like if you want BCIs that can deal with like medical things. So say like there are tons of like really useful uses of BCIs in that like they can be really positive for addressing like Parkinson's or for addressing Alzheimer's and things like that. But I think say like broad use BCIs, I think making laws about that could be an idea. I think also it might just be like it might just be like a kind of military escalation problem where like in order to address this, we also need to figure out how do we make sure that BCIs can be broken if we need to break them. Because like if like say if a government goes rogue and is implanting its people with BCIs to get them to obey, like is there a way that are there technologies that can kind of like wipe that out? Like would I think thinking about things thinking about how we can more effectively break this technology would possibly be a useful way to do it.
I mean, would something like an EMP work? Like an EMP gun?
Yeah, that's something I talk about. And I'm inclined to think yes, just because like the main defenses against EMPs would like they're kind of like you can have kind of Faraday cages and things which block out EMP radiation. But if you do that, then like you wipe out much of the functionality of BCIs as well. But so I'm inclined to think yes, but I'm not sure. But at the moment the problem's in its like really early stages. I've kind of identified that there is a big problem here, and we should be thinking more about it. But I think the solutions are still really early stage. So if anyone wants to be working on this problem and trying to figure out what the solutions are, I think there's probably still like a lot of really fertile ground to be looking for constructive solutions to this, just because like there's going to be a lot of low-hanging fruit because no one's thinking about it yet.
I really want to know what Elon Musk thinks about this, because I'm sure he's thought about these ideas before. One time I talked to Aubrey de Grey, and I'm not sure if you know who he is. I actually took it was a podcast I did before I took it down, but I didn't like his response. So Aubrey de Grey is essentially maximizing the human lifespan. And he's a very smart guy. He's a genius. It's just this particular thing I didn't quite agree with. But he said, I said, like, what do we do once we've maximized the human lifespan and people are living 500 years? This is going to cause an issue, like population, all that. And he said, well, it's my job to develop the technology and future people will sort it out, essentially. And maybe that's not his exact words. I think that was the sentiment. Like, we will figure it out as we go. And I don't know if I accept that as like, is that what Elon Musk is doing? Is it just we figure it out as we go? Because I'm
worried that the strategy is like we jump off the cliff and then like build our wings on the way down. And
it's I mean, and it doesn't make, a part of me always wants to say, just stop making this technology, just stop it. But like, that's obviously not a realistic thing to do.
It's super hard to stop technological development. And it's like, I think, like this is another really interesting question, I think, of is technology inevitable or is there stuff we can do for it? And I think that's something that like that question, it's possible civilization hinges on it. It's a really important question. But I think Elon Musk's rationale is like I disagree with it, but his rationale is that like his funding or his work on Neuralink in the short term is to work on therapeutic medical stuff, but in the long term he wants it to address the AI problem.
Yeah.
In that he said if we can kind of achieve some sort of symbiosis with AI, then that will help us survive.
Even, he said that before. He said, we're going to have artificial intelligence and then we're going to have a human limbic system. And it's like, do you want super intelligent space terrorists? Because that's how we fucking get them. Like, the human limbic system is the emotions. I mean, have you seen the amount of intelligent people? Like, there are flat earthers who have built rocket ships. Let that sink in. They're not fucking stupid.
They're really?
Yeah. The rocket ship exploded and he died, but he made a fucking rocket ship. Like, there was an issue with it, but there are aerospace technologists who are flat earthers. They're not stupid. If you think the solution to solving all of humanity's issues is making us smarter, it's not. I think we've proved that throughout history. Okay,
so hilarious that flat earth is back. I'm like it's such a wild card that I wouldn't think 10 years
I
ago.
love it. I love it. They're the best.
But yeah, I also think his rationale doesn't make a lot of sense in that, like I think he's generally like very, very well thought out, and I think like Tesla Motors and like and Solar City are just like.
I am a huge fan of Elon Musk. I fucking love Elon Musk, but like